But today is a much more complex country. Back then it was like everybody did the same thing. Now that's not the case. So the skill set that you have to give your children to survive has changed, and I think that's what you're seeing.
Yeah, although all the basic tenets are still in place, we've just added a whole bunch of parsley to the side of the plate. The steak and potatoes are still there, which is outwork the guy next to you, show up early and often,
true.
hustle,
Right.
grit, all that, don't blame other people, internalize. All that stuff is all the same, and I don't think that'll ever change because that's just part of being a human. We've just added a whole bunch of other things that don't really matter that much, but we have to pretend like they do in order to get along.
Well, I think Hillary Clinton's message of "don't blame other people" is resonating across the country.
It is. There's
a struggle. There's a struggle in America. Okay, Carolla and I don't want to ruin your career. See the social fabric the same way. You've got to basically suffer to succeed, and that means you've got to go to school. You've got to study. You've got to get a job. You've got to be successful in the job. You've got to obey the law. You can't be smoking pot every day. You can't be drinking gin every day if you want to succeed. I mean, and that's true. But now we're giving society is giving people who refuse to do what is necessary a pass. They're getting a hall pass. So it's not your fault because white privilege keeps you down. And, the country's run by white supremacists, so if you're a minority, you can just forget it. I mean, this is the stuff that's out there that is so harmful. And that's one of the reasons I started writing these history books, to tell people, what the real story of this country is. And please don't buy into this PC far-left lunacy, because when you do, your life's not going to be as good.
Well, I have had this argument/discussion with many people, black and white, on my podcast, and I have this answer, which is I do not believe this country is 1/100th as racist as you might be led to believe if you turn on MSNBC. On the other hand, if it is racist to any degree, you still don't benefit from assuming that it is. It's essentially, you go to any party. So if Bill O'Reilly goes to a party or Adam Carolla goes to a party, there's going to be a certain percentage of people at this party that may wish you never walked through the front door, and may not like you and may not agree with you. The point is if you obsess on it, you'll have a horrible time at the party, and you might not get anything done. Drift over to the people who are fans, the people who like you, the people you recognize, the people you know. Strike up a conversation. The folks that don't want you at the party are probably never going to do anything to get you pushed out of the party. And enjoy yourself and take another shrimp. And don't assume that the guys that don't want you at the party blew a snot rocket on it. That was a long way to go, Bill. But I'm just trying to get people to enjoy their party, and I don't see.
Yeah, and that's a noble goal, Carolla. And as a party guy yourself, you know how important that is. I basically see the country as being in serious trouble right now, and I'm going to tell you something that is absolutely true that a lot of people are not going to believe. But this insane statue stuff. Let's tear the statues down and all that.
Yes.
And now in Dallas, the school board may rename schools named after Washington, Franklin, and Jefferson. All this is going on, right?
Right.
Okay. You know what the goal of that is?
No.
The goal of that is to rewrite the Constitution of the United States. All right? So basically, the far left was so shocked that they lost the election last November, that they started a new campaign, and that campaign is America's a bad country. It was founded by white supremacists, and now, even today, white supremacists run the show. And that if you're a minority, or if you're a person who believes in liberalism, you don't have a chance because white privilege is going to keep you down. And that's what they're selling. And the ultimate goal is to convince so many people that that's true that they go in and completely overhaul the Constitution, capitalism, all of that. You didn't hear a year ago white supremacists. You didn't hear that. Okay, but all of a sudden it's everywhere. Why? Because this is a designed propaganda campaign by very powerful entities with a sympathetic media backing it up. You don't see the LA Times and the New York Times challenge this white supremacy crap. What you see them do is attack people like me and others who not buying it. We're not buying this garbage. We know it's not true. So the folks have got to really stand up and arm themselves with the facts about what the country is and how we got where we are today. So they need to pay attention and start reading and learning to fight off these hordes. I mean, if Dallas, Texas, all right, that's not Berkeley. If the debate can be held there to knock out George Washington on a high school, are you kidding? This is madness. So we all have to mobilize, those of us who see clearly that America is a noble nation. Not perfect. No nation or no man is, or woman. But this is a country that accomplishes an amazing amount of good. Yet you listen to these far-left cranks, and we're the worst nation on the face of the earth. It makes me furious.
Well, I look at it a lot, and so there's a sort of psychodynamic part of this that I like to look at, which is that side is never satisfied and never satiated. They will keep going. There is no end point. They say, here's what we want, but if they get what they want, they'll move on to the next thing, and to the point where you can't even, some of it defies belief. I've always made this example. They sort of do what the anti-smoking lobby did, which is in this, your dad and you and we grew up in a time where you'd smoke in a restaurant. And somebody said, hey, we don't want the smokers in amongst the other folks that are trying to enjoy their meals here. So why don't we make a smoking section? And they said, fine, move over here. And they moved over there. And then there was a smoking section. But that wasn't good enough. So they said, you know what? No smoking section, no smoking at all in the restaurant. You want to smoke, go to the bar. So the smokers got up, they picked up their ashtrays, they went to the bar, and they smoked at the bar. And that wasn't good enough. So they said, no smoking in the bar, no smoking in the restaurant, no smoking here. You want to smoke? Go stand out on the curb. And the smokers got up and they went and stood out on the curb. Then they walked out to the curb and they said, you're standing too close to the front door. Go down the street. You can't be close to the front. So the smokers moved down the street. Then they moved down the street and they stood in a park and they smoked. And they said, you want to know what? No smoking in the park. It's that with everything. They will never stop. It's not that they don't want no smoking in the restaurant. They want no smoking.
That's right. But that doesn't extend to marijuana. Okay, so they want you to smoke marijuana.
Well, that is true.
They carve out a clause for, and particularly in California, don't smoke cigarettes, but if you want to smoke pot, you can.
Bill, last question for you. You're doing No Spin News now. You're doing a podcast. You're doing it from your home, and you're off, broadcast television for the first time in a million years.
42 years.
42 years. Any thoughts about going back to that, or is the climate just too insane for Bill O'Reilly in 2017?
It's hard. It's so hateful, and that's the word, hateful. And you know this, Carolla, because you were on the Factor a whole bunch of times. Every day of my life, all right, for 20 years at the Fox News Channel, every single day I was attacked personally. Personal attacks. Takes a toll on a human being, his family, his friends, the whole thing. Now, I endured it, and I won. And finally, the organized cabal put enough pressure on 21st Century that they said, do we really need this? Sponsor boycotts, all of this garbage. Yeah, let's just see if we can do it without them. Fine. They made a business decision. Now I have to make a life decision. Do I want to get back into this hateful swamp? Do I want to do that? Part of me says no. I had a nice summer in the ocean here on Long Island. But I do have scores to settle. no doubt about that. But it has to be right. So if I get back in, it has to be right. And so I'm going to be very patient and take my time, and we'll see what develops. And that's where we are.
So last question, and this is going to sound horrible, but why the vitriol toward you? Why do people hate O'Reilly so much?
Because I had an audience of 6 million people every night. And I think I bring to the table a fact-based presentation. And you know, how many people beat me in debates? How many? Right? So I'd bring them on,
right,
and I'd expose whoever it was. It didn't have to be just liberals. Could be crazy right-wingers. Could be neo-Nazis. All right? I bring them on, and then I destroy, not destroy them, but expose them, my argument's stronger. And then these people could not beat me in the forum. They couldn't beat me in the forum of ideas. None of them could. And so they said, we'll get them. We'll get them. We'll trump up stuff. We'll lie. We'll pay people to say, to slander and smear him. And, it worked eventually. That's where we are in this country. And it's not just me.
Do you know that people
It's not just me.
Do you know that people were paid to slander you?
Yes, we do.
Oh, you do?
Yes, we do. And that will come out. This week, one of these women who I never even saw in my life, who accused me of saying untoward things to her, we find out that she was arrested for filing a false police report in Detroit.
So,
okay? And when that's up on BillO'Reilly.com, and not only that, but a whole litany of things that this woman has done.
So this is
serious business here, and, we're going to take care of it.
Is this to be continued sort of situation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've seen the evidence, and it is stunning. And when we put it out, it's going to be a huge story.
All right. Well, please share it with us as soon as you decide to put it out. Killing England, The Brutal Struggle for American Independence, available now on Amazon. And you can check out the podcast, The No Spin News. Thanks, Bill.
All right, Adam. Always a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Good luck. Bye.